what do I do? What primitives Stripes gives me as let's treat it as a general mobile first, like native Android, native iOS, and then let's move on to how you expose all of that to React Native.
Yes. Yes. So basically, since we are mostly trying to discuss React Native here in this podcast, let me focus on this React Native part. And what's great about Stripe is that it offers tons of different SDKs for different platforms. And one of those platforms is, of course, React Native. So there is this Stripe React Native library that uses native Stripe SDKs under the hood. And thanks to this library, it is pretty easy to implement payments in your React Native mobile application. So you just need to install this Stripe React Native dependency, rub your code in some Stripe provider, and you're ready to use all of those functionalities provided by the library. So it consists of multiple useful hooks, functions to make those different type of payments. There are also, for example, components like card input, or even the whole screen that can you just can display this payment screen without worrying about anything about the UI and how to implement those stuff. So it's quite easy to use. So if you are a React Native developer and you know how to use libraries, then pretty much you should be able to do that without any problems. Maybe the only thing that you need to be aware of is that Stripe integration requires additions into your backend services. Okay. So it's not that you can just use the UI Stripe React Native library. You need to implement some backend functions as well. But fortunately, most of the popular backend languages, platforms, frameworks have official Stripe SDKs. So implementing payments there should not be a challenge for you or your backend team.
Okay, so what about if I don't know how to use libraries, but I know hooks, I know providers, right? So it should be relatively easy to just plug and play those components from React Native to my JS code and just run with it.
Yep, exactly. It even works without any problems in Expo. So if you want to make everything simpler, you can just create a fresh Expo app and use payments there.
And we can thank Charlie for that, for his amazing work at Expo and now Stripe.
Yes, thank you very much.
Charlie, can you speak something to like this native integration? What happens under the JavaScript layer? How those components are optimized to run in the mobile environment?
Yeah, so everything that Stripe React Native is doing is providing like a native-like experience, because it literally is the native experience. So we are calling directly into Stripe iOS and Stripe Android for both the UI components that Kuba was talking about. So like card input and things like that. Same goes for the API calls that we're making behind the scenes. If like with Stripe, you basically have two options. Do you want to build your own UI and use our functions then to call, add payment method or confirm payment? Or do you want to outsource, your UI creation and all of that also to Stripe and use what Kuba was talking about, the payment sheet, which essentially just brings up a modal. And it's like a really streamlined experience for users and everything like that, to where you're just responding to like an on success or on error hook at that point. And it's really the only thing you need to add. But anyway, so that's all happening on the native layer. And we're just exposing it through to React Native. So your users are getting the exact same experience they would on a purely native app.